Solo Sikoa leaves the Bloodline. Triple H's booking is repetitive. What's next for Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston after Raw? Nia Jax has backstage heat in WWE. Seth Rollins brutally bashed. The Rock gets massive numbers amidst WWE return plans. Let's dive right in. Triple H's booking is repetitive. After a great War Games card over the weekend, the ensuing Raw had big shoes to fill. The New Day's 10-year anniversary celebration finally took place and included a big return from a former WWE champion. Pete Dunne let his anger get the best of him against R-Truth. Damage Control lost to Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez after CM Punk opened the show. He was interrupted by Seth Rollins. The Visionary and Zayn had a great verbal exchange, highlighting that both men have issues with how they dealt with Roman Reigns and Punk. While those segments hit the mark, WWE still made some errors after a red-hot War Games. The next 5 mistakes were made on the latest episode of Raw. Number 1. Dakota Kai doesn't save Damage Control from a post-match attack. After Morgan and Rodriguez defeated Sky and Kairi Sane, they continued the assault. Before they could end Damage Control for good, Rhea Ripley rushed down to make the save. She ended up getting sent face first into the announce table. The confusing part was that Dakota Kai didn't rescue her friends. Ripley coming to their aid makes some sense since she's still feuding with Morgan. Kai's segment, however, took place immediately after the attack. She came out smiling for her triple threat match. Didn't she witness her friends getting beat down minutes earlier? Number 2. Dominic Mysterio faces Gunther again on Raw. Dirty Dom faced Gunther during the spring of 2024. He was beaten down by the imposing ring general, showing Dominic that he usually bites off more than he can chew. After another backstage spat on the latest Raw, Gunther battled Dominic in non-title action. Finn Balor initially wanted a shot at the title but was rejected. Dirty Dom was supposed to be a hated heel, but actually started to get cheers from the crowd during the match. Finn Balor attacked Gunther after the bout to show Dom how it's done. Gunther could have easily had the night off or faced someone new since he competed 2 days earlier. Number 3. Another backstage attack angle. Jade Cargill was attacked backstage a few weeks ago during an episode of SmackDown. The situation was briefly addressed with Bianca Belair looking to unmask the perpetrator. After a heated exchange between Sami Zayn and Seth Rollins, Jey Uso fell victim to a random backstage assault on Raw. Zayn immediately thought it was Rollins, even after the Visionary only claimed to have issues with Punk and Roman Reigns. WWE could have waited for someone to attack Jey since the investigation into Cargill's incident hasn't even started. It just feels like trying to do the same thing on both shows. Number 4. Drew McIntyre returns to feud with the same stars. This week's Raw ended with Drew McIntyre hitting Sami Zayn with a Claymore kick after he lost to Rollins in the main event. His emergence was a welcome sight since nothing big happened at War Games in terms of returns of debuts. The problem was that the Scottish Warrior resumed feuding with some of the same names he battled this year. McIntyre battled Jey Uso, Zayn, and Seth Rollins at various points in 2024. He likely would have attacked CM Punk again had the Architect not beat him to the punch. He could pivot to other feuds with Braun Breaker, Gunther, or the LWO. Number 5. The New Day's 10-year celebration didn't main event Raw. Due to how important the New Day has been to WWE, it was a huge misstep not to have their segment close the show. McIntyre's return would have been just as effective had it happened halfway through the episode. Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods cut excellent promos last week and did so again during the latest Raw. Their years of service earned them the closing slot on this week's show. It would have made their words even more impactful, especially since Big E trotted out for his first appearance on Raw in years. The action between Rollins and Zayn was fine, but a big wrestling match doesn't need to close the show every week. What's next for Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston after Raw? Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods shockingly blamed Big E for abandoning them during the New Day's 10-year celebration on Raw. The active duo took exception to the fact that their former tag partner only re-emerged when it appeared the group would break up. By shunning one of the founding members of the historic trio, Kingston and Woods reconciled with each other over their anger with Big E. They rubbed salt in his wounds by claiming he'd never be medically cleared. What's next for one of the greatest tag teams in wrestling history? Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods can go one of the next 4 directions following Raw. Number 1, they can dethrone the Judgment Day. Losing to the Judgment Day and Finn Balor and JD McDonough's first title defense set in motion the following months of tension between Woods and Kingston. Things only snowballed between the two friends, culminating with a blow-up argument on last week's Raw. General Manager Adam Pearce granted Finn Balor a shot at Gunther, but also mentioned his other title defense. since they've barely put the belts on the line. The New Day or another team could end the disappointing run as World Tag Team Champions. Winning Tag Team Gold would get the New Day back on track. Number 2, they can remake the New Day with another imposing star. When the New Day first emerged, they were serious about how they would attack their careers. After a few months, the trio turned into a group obsessed with the power of positivity. After 10 years of overwhelming happiness and unicorn horns, it could be time to return to that way of thinking. Kingston and Woods were very serious during Raw, signaling a shift in demeanor. Bringing in someone like Obafemi from NXT would do wonders for the group, due to his athleticism and explosive nature. He has Brock Lesnar and Braun Breaker tendencies. They could wreak havoc as a heel trio on Raw. It would also be an easy way to introduce the 310-pound star to main roster crowds. Number 3, could feud with Big E or a proxy star of his choice. Woods said that he believed Big E would never be medically cleared. If that's the case, then Big E could still be a player in another way. Before his brothers berated him for his neck injury, the former Intercontinental Champ promised to be their manager every week. Since they rebuked his offer, Big E could still return to manage a different star. He could back up Alpha Academy since they're as goofy as the New Day. Big E could also work with R-Truth, Malik Blade, and Edris Enofe of NXT, or another star. It would be a good way to keep him on screens instead of only on premium live events panels. Number 4, they continue to mock Big E on Raw until he is cleared. The main point from the 10-year New Day celebration on Raw was Woods claiming that Big E would never be cleared. It planted a seed that he could eventually get medical clearance in the future. If that future is as soon as the Royal Rumble, it could start a path to WrestleMania 41. Edge returned from a neck injury in the 2020 Royal Rumble. Big E could follow his lead and even eliminate both Kingston and Woods from the match. Those actions could lead to a huge retirement match at WrestleMania 41, in which Big E could put his career on the line. Nia Jax has backstage heat in WWE. Many questioned Nia Jax's performance at WWE Survivor Series War Games. Wrestling veteran Vince Russo shared his thoughts on the matter, noting that the champion looks to have heat with somebody, and therefore, the company wanted to expose her at the recently concluded premium live event. Surprisingly, the Irresistible Force was the first person from her team to enter the War Games match. This is not the norm, as powerhouses like Roman Reigns have over the years mostly entered the match in the last spot. On Sportskeeda Wrestling's Legion of Raw, Vince Russo questioned WWE's decision to send Nia Jax first. That performance on Saturday, man, it was so bad. Here's another thing, man, and I wish somebody would explain this to me. She's the biggest girl in there. Why in God's name are you sending her out there first? She should have had the Roman spot. She should have come out last, fresh as a daisy, squashing everybody, totally protecting her. You sent her out first? You're totally exposing her, said Russo. The veteran added that it appears that WWE Women's Champion Nia Jax has heat with someone, and was therefore sent in first, so that she could be exposed. And they know that. They know that. So something is going on. Either she's got heat with somebody, they wanted to expose her, because they know darn well her strength would have been coming out last, fresh as a daisy, squashing people. They knew she was going to get blown up if she was the first one out there, and for whatever reason, they sent her out there first. Nia Jax's team was on the losing end at WWE Survivor Series War Games. Rhea Ripley picked up the win for the babyfaces after putting Liv Morgan through a table. Seth Rollins brutally bashed. Gunther and Damian Priest put on an enthralling match at WWE Survivor Series War Games 2024. However, it was Seth Rollins who caught strays from wrestling veteran Vince Russo. The Ring General and the Archer of Infamy collided for the World Heavyweight Championship at WWE's recently concluded premium live event. However, Finn Balor once again made his presence felt in Priest's match to cost him the opportunity to win the title. While speaking on Sportskeeda Wrestling's Legion of Raw podcast, Vince Russo praised Damian Priest and reigning World Heavyweight Champion Gunther for their match at Survivor Series War Games 2024. The former WWE head writer referred to the match to make his feelings about Seth Rollins clear. The Gunther-Priest match at Survivor Series was a clinic. I hope you guys understand why I always have so many issues with Seth Rollins now. Because Seth Rollins sells something and in 2 minutes he's doing 12 high spots in a row and then he goes back to selling. Bro, Damian Priest sold that shoulder for the entire match. You guys have no idea how difficult that is. That takes focus and commitment. The entire match, man. He sold the shoulder and Gunther worked the shoulder the entire match. That was textbook. The Ring General was also in action this week on Raw, where he defeated Dominic Mysterio. Meanwhile, the Archer of Infamy was nowhere to be seen after getting taken out by the Judgment Day in a backstage brawl at Survivor Series War Games 2024. The Rock gets massive numbers amidst WWE return plans. The Rock's recent project has turned out to be successful. It reportedly drew massive numbers amid WWE return speculation. The Rock is one of the first WWE superstars to transition into a successful Hollywood career. Over the years, he has starred in several big-budget movies and is one of the biggest stars on the planet. His movies have drawn millions at the box office. Despite his busy schedule, the Brahma Bull has made sporadic appearances for WWE, where he is now a member of the board of directors of the parent company, TKO Group. His most notable appearance was his involvement in the Cody Rhodes story at WrestleMania 40. He even competed on Night 1 of the show and was involved in Night 2. His last appearance was at WWE Bad Blood, where he showed up after Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes won their match. This fueled speculation that the final boss was returning to the company, but he hadn't been seen since Bad Blood. However, the Great One has been busy as his latest movie, Moana 2, was released on November 27, 2024. The Rock played the role of Maui, a shape-shifting demigod who accompanies Moana on her journey. As reported by PW Insider, Moana 2 was a big hit at the box office and brought in $386,300,000 worldwide over Thanksgiving weekend, making it #1 domestically. The Rock was originally planned to face Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 40, and things were set in motion. However, the WWE Universe wanted to see Cody Rhodes challenge Reigns and finish his story. Fans let their voices be heard. As a result, the Stamford-based promotion changed direction to have the American Nightmare challenge Reigns for the title. However, this dream match could still take place. During a recent interview on the SI Media podcast, Roman Reigns spoke about the possibility of a dream match against the final boss. He said that the company could make it happen if that's what the fans want. That goes back to, there is a lot of meat on the bone. If Dwayne can't come in and boom, this is how it is, that's when you know you're cooking up with good ingredients. That's why he is tied in the way he is and part of the board. We're at an unprecedented time right now. Business is great and we want to continue to push things up. If that's what the people want and the people's champ is down, I'm sure we can make something happen, said Roman Reigns. It will be interesting to see if a dream match between Roman Reigns and The Rock happens down the road. Solo Sikoa leaves the Bloodline. WWE Survivor Series 2024 has come to an end, and the upcoming episodes of Raw and SmackDown are set to explore its aftermath. One of the biggest highlights of the premium live event was the men's War Games match featuring the Bloodline saga. In this clash, the OG Bloodline, with CM Punk by their side, managed to defeat Solo Sikoa's faction. Such a major loss in the family drama is bound to have significant consequences. This further fuels the speculation that Solo Sikoa might leave the Bloodline and quit SmackDown in frustration after failing at Survivor Series. With the OG Bloodline emerging victorious, they will likely attempt to assert dominance over the revamped Bloodline. Given that the original tribal chief pinned Solo Sikoa to secure the win at War Games, he could claim himself as the rightful heir to the Ula Fala. This could further frustrate Solo, whose inability to defeat the OG Bloodline may prompt him to abandon both his faction and WWE SmackDown. This move would highlight Solo's growing discontent with the ongoing family drama and his desire to distance himself from it. Furthermore, there is speculation that The Rock might be the mastermind behind Bloodline 2.0, with Solo potentially acting on his commands. However, the loss at Survivor Series might leave Solo without the resolve to continue, leading to his departure from the faction and the blue brand. Such an angle could also place the Bloodline leader on a temporary hiatus, adding an unexpected twist to the ongoing saga. It remains to be seen how the story unfolds on the next episode of WWE SmackDown and what the fallout of the Bloodline Civil War will bring. Though the scenario seems unlikely, if Solo Sikoa does quit the new Bloodline in frustration, The Rock could be a potential candidate to replace him. With the WWE Raw Netflix debut show scheduled for January 6th, 2025, the final boss is expected to appear at this monumental event. If Solo decides to part ways with the faction in the aftermath of the Survivor Series, The Rock could take over leadership of the new Bloodline. This could happen upon his return at the Raw Netflix debut show. Speculation about a Roman Reigns versus The Rock showdown has already been circulating. If the Great One takes control of the new Bloodline, it would undoubtedly escalate the likelihood of a clash between Reigns and The Rock next year in WWE.